Document. Part 5. The aftermath of the ambush rippled through the Zorathian ranks like a shockwave. Commander Vela stood on the bridge of her flagship, staring at the damage reports with barely contained fury. The patrol she had sent to investigate. The decoy signals had been humiliated, ships disabled, systems fried, and pride shattered. Never before had the Zorathians faced such a cunning adversary. Humanity's tactics were maddeningly unpredictable, their weapons crude yet effective. For the first time in centuries, doubt crept into the minds of the Empire's warriors. Lieutenant Rin, one of Vela's most trusted subordinates, approached cautiously. He was younger than many of his peers, with sharp eyes and a questioning mind. Unlike others who blindly followed orders, Rin often analyzed situations carefully, searching for flaws or weaknesses. This habit earned him respect among some, but irritation from others, especially those who valued blind obedience above all else. Commander, Rin began hesitantly, I've reviewed the data from the ambush. These humans, they're not fighting like other species we've encountered. They're using deception, misdirection. It's almost as if they're trying to outthink us instead of overpowering us. Vela turned to face him, her expression unreadable. Are you suggesting we're losing? No, Commander, Rin replied quickly. But I am saying that underestimating them could be dangerous. Their technology may be primitive, but their strategies are advanced. If we continue to treat them as insignificant pests, we risk walking into another trap. Vela narrowed her eyes, considering his words. She didn't like being questioned, especially in front of her crew, but she couldn't deny the truth in Rin's observations. The humans had proven themselves capable of surprising even the mighty Zorathians. Still, admitting weakness was unthinkable. What do you propose? She asked sharply. Rin hesitated, choosing his next words carefully. We need to adapt, study their tactics, anticipate their moves, perhaps even send smaller, more agile units to scout ahead instead of relying solely on brute force. We can't afford to be predictable. Vela dismissed him with a curt nod, though her thoughts churned long after he left. Adaptation wasn't something the Zorathians practiced often. Their empire thrived on dominance, not flexibility. Yet, Rin's suggestions planted a seed of uncertainty, a crack in the unshakable confidence that had defined their civilization for generations. Back on Earth, the success of Operation Decoy gave humanity a much-needed morale boost. Admiral William Carter called a meeting with Captain Daniel Hayes and his crew to discuss the implications of their victory. Gathered in a dimly lit briefing room, the group reviewed footage of the ambush, analyzing every detail. Despite the triumph, Carter remained cautious. This was a good start, he said, addressing the team. But it's only the beginning. The Zorathians won't take this lying down. They'll regroup, rethink their approach, and come back stronger. We need to stay ahead of them. Daniel nodded, his expression serious. Agreed. Every move we make needs to keep them guessing. Predictability is our biggest weakness. Dr. Laura Monroe stepped forward, her notebook in hand. That's where psychology comes in. The Zorathians see themselves as untouchable. If we can exploit that arrogance, if we can make them question their own superiority, we might gain an advantage. Laura proposed a bold idea, broadcasting false intelligence to the Zorathians, using intercepted transmissions. Operatives like Agent Rachel Morgan could feed misleading information about Earth's defenses and capabilities by exaggerating humanity's strength or hinting at hidden weapons. They could plant seeds of paranoia within the Zorathian command structure. Rachel listened intently, her sharp eyes gleaming with interest. I can work with that, she said, confidently. If we play our cards right, we can turn their own arrogance against them. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Sam Brooks continued refining the Odyssey S systems. Her upgraded cloaking device now included enhanced sensor jamming capabilities, making it nearly impossible for the Zorathians to detect the ship. Additionally, she had developed a new feature, holographic projections, that could mimic the appearance of larger vessels. combined with the EMP mines created by Ben Cole. These innovations gave humanity a fighting chance against their technologically superior foe. Ben himself was hard at work improving the EMP mines. After reviewing data from the ambush, he realized the devices needed greater range and precision. Working late into the night, he tweaked the designs, adding modular components that allowed the mines to self-destruct after activation. This ensured no evidence would remain for the Zorathians to study. "We're turning junk into gold," Ben joked during a rare moment of downtime. "If those tin cans think they can roll over us, they're in for a rude awakening." And Ryan Patel, meanwhile, focused on mastering the Odyssey-S navigation systems. His earlier hesitation had given way to determination, fueled by the realization that humanity's survival depended on people like him stepping up. Under Daniel's guidance, Ryan practiced evasive maneuvers and simulated combat scenarios, honing his skills until he felt confident enough to handle anything the Zorathians threw at them. "I'm ready," Ryan told Daniel one evening, his voice steady. "Whatever happens next, I won't let you down." Daniel placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You've already proven yourself, Ryan. Keep pushing forward, and we'll get through this together." As preparations continued, humanity's resolve grew stronger. Factories churned out new equipment, training programs intensified, and research teams worked around the clock. Earth's leaders knew the stakes were high, but they also understood the power of unity. Every person, regardless of rank or role, contributed to the effort. From engineers designing cutting-edge technology to soldiers preparing for battle, humanity stood united against a common enemy. Yet, amidst the flurry of activity, questions lingered. Could humanity truly stand toe-to-toe with the Their empires spanned galaxies, their resources were vast, and their military unmatched. What chance did a fledgling species have? These doubts haunted many, but they also fueled determination. Fear was natural, but surrender was not an option. Admiral Carter addressed these concerns during a public broadcast, rallying Earth's people. "We've faced challenges before," he declared, his voice firm and unwavering, "and every time, we found a way to overcome them. The Zorathians may be powerful, but they lack something we have: resilience. They underestimate us because they don't understand us. Let's show them what humanity is truly made of." His words resonated deeply, inspiring millions to redouble their efforts. Across the globe, factories operated non-stop. Schools taught children about the importance of innovation, and communities came together to support the war effort. Humanity was preparing for a fight unlike any it had faced before, but it was a fight worth waging. In the shadows of space, the Zerothians regrouped. General Kale convened a council of his top commanders, including Vela, to discuss the growing threat posed by humanity. The once dismissive tone had shifted. Now, there was an undercurrent of unease. Reports of human ingenuity spread throughout the fleet, sparking debates about how best to counter their unconventional tactics. Kale slammed his fist onto the table, silencing the murmurs. "Enough," he barked. "These humans are nothing but insects. Insects that sting. Yes, but still insects. We will crush them, as we have crushed every other species that dared oppose us." His words carried weight, but not everyone was convinced. Lieutenant Wren exchanged glances with several officers who shared his concerns. Though they dared not speak openly, their expressions betrayed their doubts. Humanity's resilience was becoming a problem, one that couldn't be solved with sheer force alone. Unbeknownst to the Zerothians, humanity's operatives were already at work, sowing discord. False transmissions hinted at secret alliances between Earth and other alien species, while fabricated schematics suggested the existence of devastating weapons. Slowly but surely, cracks began forming within the Zorathian hierarchy. Officers questioned orders, soldiers expressed unease, and rumors spread like wildfire on the Odyssey. Captain Daniel Hayes prepared his crew for the battles ahead. They had struck a blow against the Zorathians, but the war was far from over. Each victory brought them closer to proving that humanity was not to be underestimated. With ingenuity, courage, and an unyielding spirit, they would carve out a place among the stars and teach the Zorathians the true meaning of fear. End of document. Part 5 Document. Part 2. The Odyssey drifted silently through the void, its damaged hull groaning under the strain of emergency repairs. The crew worked tirelessly to patch up the ship, their movements tense and hurried. Though they had escaped the Zorothian fleet, the encounter left them shaken. No one spoke much. The weight of what had happened hung heavy in the air. For the first time, humanity had come face to face with an alien species, far more advanced and far more hostile than anything they had imagined. Captain Daniel Hayes sat alone in his quarters, staring at a holographic map of the surrounding star systems. His mind raced with questions. Who were these Zorathians? Why had they attacked without hesitation? And most importantly, how could humanity hope to defend itself against such overwhelming power? He clenched his fists, frustration bubbling beneath his calm exterior. Earth's ships were no match for the sleek, deadly vessels of the Zor. Their weapons were primitive compared to the energy beams that had nearly obliterated the Odyssey. Yet, despite the odds, they had survived. That fact gave him a glimmer of hope. Down in engineering, Lieutenant Samantha Sam Brooks was hard at work reinforcing the cloaking device. The prototype system had saved their lives, but it was unstable and drained too much power. Sam knew she couldn't rely on it again unless she made significant improvements. Her hands moved deftly over the exposed circuits, soldering wires and rerouting energy flows. She muttered to herself as she worked, her voice a mix of determination and irritation. This piece of junk barely held together last time, she grumbled, glaring at the tangled mess of components. If we're going to survive another run-in with those tin cans, I need something better. Ensign Ryan Patel hovered nearby, watching Sam with wide eyes. He admired her skill, but felt useless standing there. Is there anything I can do to help? He asked hesitantly. Sam glanced up, her expression softening slightly. Yeah, actually, hand me that diagnostic tool over there, and stop looking so nervous. You did good out there today. Ryan nodded quickly, grabbing the requested item and handing it to her. Thanks, Lieutenant. It's just... Tenant, it's just... Seen anything like those ships before? They're so... big? They sure are, Sam replied, her tone turning grim. Tsung D. Document. Part 1. In a distant corner of the galaxy. Far beyond the reach of human exploration, there existed a civilization known as the Zorothians. They were mighty beings, their empire stretching across countless star systems and galaxies. Their ships, sleek and menacing, roamed the cosmos like predators searching for prey. The Zorothians had no rivals, no enemies who could stand against their overwhelming power. For centuries, they conquered world after world, enslaving or eradicating any species that dared to resist them. To the Zor, fear was an alien concept. They feared nothing in the galaxy. At the heart of this empire stood General Kale, a towering figure among his people. His reputation was legendary. He had led countless campaigns, each more devastating than the last. Under his command, entire civilizations had been wiped out without mercy. Kale believed himself invincible, and so did his soldiers. Fearlessness was not just a trait, but a way of life for the Zorathians. It was drilled into every warrior from birth, instilled through rigorous training and unrelenting discipline. To show fear was to show weakness, and weakness was something the Zorathians despised above all else. But while the Zorathians reigned supreme in their part of the galaxy, another species was slowly emerging on the galactic stage, one that would soon challenge everything the Zorathians thought they knew about dominance and terror. On a small blue planet called Earth, humanity was taking its first steps into the stars. Unlike the Zorothians, humans were not born conquerors. They were explorers, dreamers, and survivors. For centuries, humanity had waged wars against itself, tearing apart nations and nearly destroying its own home. Yet, despite their flaws, they possessed a spark of ingenuity and resilience that set them apart from other species. Earth's governments had united under one banner after decades of conflict, pooling resources to build spaceships capable of traveling beyond their solar system. These early vessels were rudimentary compared to the advanced technology of the Zorothians, but they represented hope, a chance for humanity to leave behind its troubled past and seek a brighter future among the stars. Among these pioneers was a small crew aboard a modest frigate named the Odyssey. The ship wasn't much to look at. Its hull was patched together with salvaged materials, and its engines groaned under the strain of long journeys, but it carried within it the dreams of an entire species. Captain Daniel Hayes commanded the Odyssey. He was a man in his mid-30s, with sharp eyes and a calm demeanor that masked the weight of responsibility resting on his shoulders. Daniel had grown up hearing stories of humanity's struggles, of how close they had come to annihilation time and again. Those tales had shaped him, teaching him the value of perseverance and adaptability. Now, as captain of one of humanity's first deep space missions, he felt both pride and pressure. His mission was simple: explore uncharted regions of space, gather information, and make contact with any intelligent life forms they encountered. Accompanying Daniel was Lieutenant Samantha Sam Brooks, the ship's chief engineer. Sam was a fiery redhead, with a quick wit and an even quicker mind. She had spent years tinkering with outdated equipment, turning scraps into functional machines. Her innovations had saved the Odyssey more times than anyone cared to count, though she often clashed with Daniel over protocols. Her loyalty to the mission and to her captain was unwavering. Rounding out the core team was Ensign Ryan Patel, the youngest member of the crew. Ryan was fresh out of the academy, eager to prove himself, but still green when it came to real-world experience. Despite his inexperience, he brought enthusiasm and optimism to the group, qualities that sometimes helped lift morale during long voyages. Together, these three individuals formed the backbone of the Odyssey's operations, each playing a vital role in humanity's quest to understand the universe. It was during one such journey that fate intervened. The Odyssey had entered a region of space marked by swirling nebulae and dense asteroid fields. Sensors indicated unusual energy readings emanating from a nearby moon, suggesting the presence of advanced technology. Curiosity piqued, Daniel ordered the ship to investigate. As they approached, however, their instruments detected movement, something large and metallic drifting silently through the void. "Sir, I'm picking up multiple signatures," Ryan reported from his station, his voice tinged with excitement. "Looks like ships." Daniel frowned. "How many?" "At least a dozen," Ryan replied, his tone shifting to concern. "They're big. Bigger than anything we've seen before." Sam turned away from her console, her expression grim. "This isn't good. Whoever they are, they're packing serious firepower." Before Daniel could respond, the unknown vessels suddenly changed course, heading straight for the Odyssey. Their movements were precise, almost mechanical, leaving no doubt that they were aware of the human ship's presence. Within moments, the Odyssey found itself surrounded by a fleet unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. The alien ships gleamed with an otherworldly sheen, their surfaces adorned with intricate patterns that seemed to pulse faintly with light. Weapons turrets bristled along their hulls, ready to unleash destruction at a moment's notice. A transmission crackled through the comm system, startling the crew. The voice on the other end was cold and commanding, speaking in a language that none of them understood. Ryan quickly activated the universal translator, which struggled to process the unfamiliar dialect. After several tense seconds, fragments of meaning began to emerge. "Identify yourselves," the voice demanded. "You have entered restricted space." Daniel hesitated, unsure of how to proceed. This was humanity's first contact with an alien species, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Taking a deep breath, he responded calmly, choosing his words carefully. "We are explorers from Earth," he said. "We mean no harm. We seek peaceful communication." The reply came swiftly, laced with disdain. "Earth? Never heard of it. Primitive vermin, trespassing where you don't belong." The insult stung, but Daniel kept his composure. "We apologize if our presence has caused offense. We will leave immediately." "No," the voice snapped. "You will die here." Without warning, the alien ships opened fire. Bright beams of energy streaked toward the Odyssey, forcing Sam to throw the ship into evasive maneuvers. Alarms blared as the crew scrambled to avoid destruction. Despite their best efforts, one of the blasts grazed the hull, sending shockwaves rippling through the vessel. "They're too fast," Ryan shouted, his hands flying across the controls. "We can't outrun them." Sam cursed under her breath, her fingers dancing over her console. "Hold on, I've got an idea." She activated a prototype cloaking device, a project she had been working on in secret. The mechanism was experimental, designed to bend light around the ship and render it invisible to enemy sensors. For a few agonizing seconds, nothing happened. Then, miraculously, the Odyssey vanished from sight. "What just happened?" Daniel asked, staring at the empty view screen. "I rerouted auxiliary power to the cloak," Sam explained, grinning. "Despite the chaos, it won't last long, but it might buy us some time." The alien fleet paused, confusion evident in their erratic movements. Without a target to pursue, they began scanning the area, searching for signs of the elusive human ship. Meanwhile, the Odyssey drifted silently, its crew holding their breath as they waited for the right moment to escape. Back on the alien flagship, Commander Vela paced the bridge, her golden armor glinting in the dim light. She was a formidable figure, second only to General Kale in rank and renown. Like her peers, she viewed the universe through a lens of superiority, believing the Zorathians to be the pinnacle of evolution. The sudden disappearance of the human ship baffled her, though. She refused to admit it aloud. "How could they vanish like that?" she growled, glaring at her subordinates. "Find them, now." Her officers worked frantically, recalibrating sensors and analyzing data. Yet, try as they might, they could not locate the missing vessel. Frustration mounted as minutes ticked by, until finally, Vela issued orders to withdraw. Whatever trickery the humans had employed, it was clear they were not worth further pursuit, for now. Unbeknownst to the Zorothians, the Odyssey slipped away undetected, retreating to safer territory. As the adrenaline faded, the crew allowed themselves a moment of relief. They had survived their first encounter with an alien species, but barely. The experience left them shaken, yet determined. Humanity had faced countless challenges throughout its history, overcoming each one through sheer willpower and innovation. If the Zorathians thought they could intimidate Earth's people, they were gravely mistaken, as the Odyssey limped back toward friendly space. Daniel gazed out at the endless expanse of stars. He knew this was only the beginning. The Zor had underestimated humanity once, but they wouldn't get another chance. Whatever lay ahead, humanity would face it head-on with courage, cunning, and an unshakable resolve to protect their place among the stars. And perhaps, just perhaps, teach the Zorathians what true terror really meant. End of document. Part 1. Document. Part 3. The Odyssey limped back to Earth's orbital command center. Its battered hull, a testament to the dangers humanity now faced. News of the encounter with the Zorathians spread quickly among the crew stationed there. Engineers swarmed around the ship, assessing the damage and making urgent repairs. Inside the command center, Admiral William Carter paced back and forth, his brow furrowed in deep thought. The reports from Captain Hayes had painted a grim picture, an alien empire far more advanced than humanity, with no regard for diplomacy or mercy. Admiral Carter was a tall man with graying hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. He had spent decades preparing Earth for potential threats beyond its borders, but nothing could have prepared him for this. The Zorathians were unlike any enemy humanity had ever faced. Their technology was centuries ahead of Earth's, their military might unmatched. Yet, despite the overwhelming odds, Carter refused to give in to despair. Humanity had survived wars, plagues, and natural disasters. It would survive this too, but it wouldn't be easy. In a nearby lab, Dr. Laura Monroe pored over data collected during the Odyssey-S encounter. She was a slender woman, with glasses perched on her nose, and a mind sharper than most. Her specialty was psychology, particularly how fear influenced behavior. As she studied the recordings of the Zorathians' actions, she noticed something intriguing. These aliens were not just powerful, they were arrogant. Their confidence bordered on hubris, and their dismissal of humanity as primitive vermin revealed a dangerous flaw. Arrogance made people blind, and blindness could be exploited. Laura leaned back in her chair, tapping her pen against her notebook. If we can't fight them directly, she murmured to herself, maybe we can make them afraid. Her thoughts turned to history, recalling stories of underdog victories achieved through cunning rather than brute force. The human race had always been resourceful, finding ways to overcome stronger opponents. Perhaps that same ingenuity could turn the tide against the Zorathians, but how? The answer eluded her for now, but she knew one thing for certain: fear was a weapon, and if wielded properly, it could level the playing field. Meanwhile, in another part of the orbital station, Benjamin Ben Cole worked tirelessly in the engineering bay. Ben was a wiry man with grease-streaked hands and a perpetual scowl. He was known for his temper, but also for his brilliance. When it came to designing new technologies, few could match his skill. Since hearing about the cloaking device that saved the Odyssey, he had been inspired to push the boundaries even further. Ben stood hunched over a workbench, surrounded by tools and half-finished prototypes. His latest project was a series of EMP mines designed to disrupt alien systems. They weren't meant to destroy ships. Outright humanity lacked the firepower for that, but they could disable key functions long enough for Earth's forces to escape or regroup. The challenge lay in making the mines undetectable until it was too late. Ben rubbed his temples, frustration mounting as he ran yet another simulation. Each failure brought him closer to a breakthrough, though patience was wearing thin. "Come on, you piece of junk," he muttered, glaring at the blinking console. "Work with me here." Across the station, operatives like Agent Rachel Morgan worked behind the scenes, gathering intelligence on the Zorathians. Rachel was a quiet woman with piercing blue eyes and an uncanny ability to blend into any environment. She had spent years infiltrating hostile territories, extracting information without leaving a trace. Now, she sifted through intercepted transmissions, piecing together fragments of Zorathian communications. Though the language barrier remained a hurdle, patterns began to emerge. Rachel noticed inconsistencies in the Zorathians' tone. While their leaders projected confidence, some lower-ranking officers expressed doubt. One message in particular caught her attention: a subordinate questioning the wisdom of attacking Earth without fully understanding its capabilities. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it hinted at cracks in the Zorothian facade. If these doubts could be amplified, perhaps divisions within their ranks could be widened. Back aboard the Odyssey, Captain Daniel Hayes met with his crew to debrief them on the next steps. The mood was somber but resolute. Everyone understood the stakes. Humanity's survival depended on their ability to adapt and outthink the Zorathians. Daniel addressed them calmly, his voice steady, despite the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. "We may not have their technology," he said, looking each crew member in the eye, "but we have something they don't. We have creativity, we have determination, and we have each other." Lieutenant Sam Brooks nodded, her expression firm. "We'll keep improving the cloaking device. Maybe even add some surprises for next time." Ensign Ryan Patel spoke up hesitantly. What if we try to learn more about them? Understand their weaknesses?" Daniel smiled faintly. "That's exactly what we're going to do. Every piece of information helps. We need to think differently, to act unpredictably. That's our advantage." As the meeting concluded, the crew dispersed, each returning to their tasks with renewed purpose. In the days that followed, preparations intensified. Engineers find existing systems while brainstorming new ideas. Scientists analyzed every scrap of data, searching for vulnerabilities. Strategists devised plans that emphasized stealth and deception over direct confrontation. Slowly but surely, humanity began to mobilize, united by a single goal: survival. Yet, amidst all the activity, doubts lingered. Could humanity truly stand against such a formidable foe? The Zorathians had conquered countless worlds, their empire stretching across galaxies. What chance did a fledgling species like humanity have? These questions haunted many, but they also fueled determination. Fear was natural, but surrender was not an option. Admiral Carter called a meeting of Earth's top leaders to discuss strategy. Gathered in a dimly lit conference room, the group reviewed the latest findings. Projections displayed on a large screen showed the extent of the Zorathian threat. Massive fleets patrolling vast regions of space, fortified outposts dotting strategic locations, and resources far exceeding anything humanity possessed. The situation seemed hopeless. Yet Carter refused to let despair take hold. "We've faced impossible odds before," he reminded the group, "and every time, we found a way to win. This will be no different. Our strength lies in our adaptability. We won't fight them head-on, we'll outsmart them." Dr. Laura Monroe stepped forward, presenting her ideas on psychological warfare. "The Zorathians are arrogant," she explained. "They see themselves as untouchable. If we can plant seeds of doubt in their minds, if we can make them question their own invincibility, we might gain the upper hand." Her words sparked lively debate. Some argued that focusing on unconventional tactics was risky, while others believed it was their only hope. Eventually, a consensus emerged. Humanity would adopt a multi-pronged approach. Advanced technology would continue to be developed, but equal emphasis would be placed on exploiting the Zorathians' psychological weaknesses. By combining innovation with strategy, Earth hoped to carve out a path to victory. As the meeting adjourned, Carter pulled Daniel aside. "Captain," he said, his voice low but firm, "you and your crew proved that we're not helpless. Keep pushing the limits. Keep finding ways to surprise them. You're our eyes and ears out there and maybe our best weapon." Daniel nodded, feeling the weight of expectation settle on his shoulders. "We'll do whatever it takes, sir." With renewed resolve, humanity prepared for the battles ahead. Factories churned out new equipment, training programs intensified, and research teams worked around the clock. The Zorathians had underestimated Earth once, dismissing its people as insignificant pests. But humanity had a knack for proving skeptics wrong. As the galaxy watched and waited, a quiet storm began to brew, one that would soon sweep across the stars and teach the Zorathians the true meaning of terror. Asterisk, asterisk. End of document. Part 3, asterisk, asterisk. Document. Part 4 weeks passed since the Odyssey returned to Earth's orbital command center. The crew had spent every waking moment preparing for their next encounter with the Zorathians. Captain Daniel Hayes knew they couldn't afford another close call. Humanity's survival depended on staying one step ahead of their enemy, and that meant using everything at their disposal: ingenuity, deception, and sheer willpower. Lieutenant Samantha Sam Brooks stood in the engineering bay surrounded by half-finished prototypes and scattered tools. Her latest project was an upgraded version of the cloaking device that had saved the Odyssey. This time, she wasn't just focusing on making it more stable. She wanted to add a twist. Hidden beneath the cloak, the ship would emit false sensor readings designed to confuse the Zorathian. If they thought the Odyssey was somewhere it wasn't, it might buy them precious seconds or even minutes to escape or strike back. This better work, Sam muttered, wiping grease from her hands as she tested the system one last time. We're not getting lucky twice. Nearby, Ensign Ryan Patel watched intently, jotting notes on a tablet. He had taken it upon himself to assist Sam whenever possible, eager to prove his worth after the terrifying encounter with the Zor. Though he still felt out of his depth, he refused to let fear hold him back. What happens if the signal gets detected? He asked hesitantly. Sam glanced at him, her expression softening slightly. Then we improvise. That's what we do best. While the engineers worked tirelessly, Admiral William Carter coordinated Earth's broader strategy. Intelligence gathered by operatives like Agent Rachel Morgan revealed patterns in the Zorathian fleet's movements. They favored predictable patrol routes, relying on their overwhelming power to deter any potential threats. It was a flaw Carter intended to exploit. We need to hit them where they least expect it, Carter said during a briefing with his top officers. Make them question their own security. Show them we're not as weak as they think. The plan was bold, but risky. A small strike team led by the Odyssey would lure a Zorathian patrol into a trap, using decoy signals. Once the enemy ships entered the designated area, EMP mines developed by Benjamin Ben Cole would disable their systems temporarily. The goal wasn't destruction, it was disruption. By striking quickly and vanishing before reinforcements arrived, humanity could sow chaos within the Zorathian ranks. Ben worked feverishly in his lab, fine-tuning the EMP mines. Each device was no larger than a basketball, its surface covered in sensors and stabilizers. When deployed, the mines would remain dormant until triggered by specific energy signatures emitted by Zorathian vessels. Ben knew timing was critical. The mines needed to activate simultaneously to maximize their impact. If this works, he said aloud, though no one else was around, it'll be the biggest scroop those tin cans have ever seen. Dr. Laura Monroe continued her research into psychological warfare, studying recordings of Zorathian communications. She noticed subtle shifts in tone among some officers, particularly when discussing humanity. While their leaders dismissed Earth as insignificant, others seemed uneasy about facing an opponent who refused to play by the rules. Laura believed these cracks could be widened. They see us as pests now, she explained to Admiral Carter. But if we keep surprising them, if we make them feel uncertain, they'll start doubting themselves. And doubt leads to fear. Carter nodded thoughtfully. Do whatever it takes to amplify that uncertainty. Every little bit helps. Finally, the day of the operation arrived. The Odyssey and its support ships slipped quietly into Zorathian space, their engines running at minimal power to avoid detection. The crew moved with practiced precision, each member focused on their role. Tension filled the air, but there was no room for hesitation. This mission would test humanity's limits and perhaps tip the scales in their favor. Deploying decoys, Ryan announced, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. Small drones equipped with fake energy signatures launched from the Odyssey, creating the illusion of a larger fleet nearby. On the view screen, the Zorathian patrol altered course, drawn toward the phantom threat. They're taking the bait, Daniel said, a hint of satisfaction in his tone. Now comes the hard part. As the Zorathian ships entered the designated area, Ben activated the EMP mines remotely. For several heart-stopping seconds, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the mines detonated, releasing bursts of electromagnetic energy that crippled the alien vessels. Their shields flickered and died, their weapons went offline, and their navigation Systems froze. It worked. Sam exclaimed, relief washing over her face. Their systems are down. Don't celebrate yet, Daniel warned, his eyes locked on the view screen. They'll recover soon. Let's move. The Odyssey darted forward, launching a series of low-yield missiles at the disabled ships. The attacks weren't meant to destroy, just to damage enough to send a message. As explosions lit up the void, the Zorathians scrambled to regain control of their vessels. But before they could retaliate, the human ships vanished into the darkness, cloaked and silent. Back aboard the Zorathian flagship, Commander Vela paced furiously, her golden armor gleaming under harsh lights. Reports poured in from the patrol, detailing the ambush and subsequent retreat. Her subordinates spoke of strange devices that rendered their ships powerless and phantom fleets that disappeared without a trace. Vela listened silently, her jaw clenched tight. This was unacceptable. The humans had struck again, proving themselves far more resourceful than she had anticipated. How could this happen? She demanded, slamming her fist onto the console. Find them. Track them down. Her officers exchanged uneasy glances. Despite their advanced technology, tracking the elusive human ships was proving impossible. The cloaking device baffled their sensors, and the EMP mines left no trace once activated. For the first time, doubt crept into Vela's mind. These humans were unpredictable, their tactics unlike anything the Zorathians had encountered before. Could they truly pose a threat? Or were they merely pests, testing the boundaries? Meanwhile, aboard the Odyssey, the crew celebrated their victory cautiously. They had dealt a blow to the Zorathians, but everyone knew it was only the beginning. Humanity's ingenuity had given them an edge, but the war was far from over. Still, the mission proved something vital. The Zorathians weren't invincible. With enough creativity and determination, humanity could fight back. Admiral Carter reviewed the operation's success with pride. This changes everything, he told his team. We've shown them we're not afraid. Now we need to keep pushing, keep surprising them, make them realize they've underestimated us. As the galaxy watched and waited, humanity took its first real step toward standing toe-to-toe with the most powerful empire in the stars. The Zorathians had ruled unchallenged for centuries, their dominance unquestioned. But now, a new force had emerged, one that fought not with brute strength, but with cunning, resilience, and an unyielding spirit. And though the road ahead remained fraught with danger, humanity refused to back down. End of document, Part 4.